This is Dave McElwain, and you're listening to the Sheriff Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to an exclusive episode of The Sheriff. Guys, today I have the ultimate team guy right in front of me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, imagine having a guy on your team that never gives up. Imagine having a tough guy on your side that you know will never go down. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight is a legend that is known for many things, but two of them are never giving up and never going down. He is a very skilled and extremely tough hockey player, currently a real estate agent with the Coldwell Banker Prime Properties in New York State. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Pierre-Luc Létourneau-Leblond. How are you doing this evening?
Buddy, thank you. The energy is great, man. As always, thanks for having me.
Well, buddy, I gotta have high energy on this episode, especially because I'm dealing with a high energy player right now, Pierre-Luc. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made a career out of being the energy guy, and I can't wait to go through the journey, bro. But like, one thing's for sure, right off the hop, I have to congratulate you, bro, for this game in professional hockey in the East Coast Hockey League that I saw.
Yeah.
Buddy, I was just going through my social media, and all of a sudden, I see this fight in my feed, and I'm like, man, that's an awesome fight. I'm like, wait a second. Is that PL3? Bro, we quickly got to talk about this game before we get into my little timeline, because
Buddy,
I got it.
That's the highlight of my career right there. That is the highlight of my career. This is what it's all about right there.
Well, dude, I mean, okay, so before you start getting into it, I just want the listeners to understand that, first of all, guys, this man has a history in Adirondack, and that's where the game was, right, Pierre-Luc?
That's right, yeah.
Now, Trois-Rivières, I don't even know how long they've been in the coast, but this is like a really cool and unique thing that we have such a high level of hockey in the province of Quebec, like other than the NHL. Like the Laval Rocket are there, but having the East Coast team in Trois-Rivières, like I'm seeing Danick Malouin getting called up and playing some games there. And bro, when I saw you, I was so happy, bro. Please tell me about how did they contact you, and how did the whole thing kind of pan out?
Well, it's it's funny. I received a message this summer from Pascal Réaume, who's involved with the team, right? And I don't know how serious he was, but he was like, Pierre, do you want to skate, right? And I was like, no, I can't. I got a full-time job, and my family's here. I can't do that. So I couldn't tell if he was just messing with me, because that's how he is. He's one of the ultimate team guy that was always funny and always like happy, fun to be around kind of guy. So I left it at that, just wishing him good luck and whatnot. But yeah, they came down. What was it? 3 weeks ago now? 2 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I guess they were short because of all the COVID, the call up, the taxi squads, and all year they've been struggling with having enough players. Now with the new NHL rules, where the guys couldn't play on both teams,
Yeah.
they were tight. So he reached out again, and what I did is I tried to find a local guy who's younger. I tried to get somebody a shot. A guy who played college, maybe, who's playing on my men's league team, and another guy that I was, hoping they would be available. And it didn't work out for them, which is too bad because, it would have been a great shot for them to get a chance to play, a real pro game. But anyway, so long story short, I had to admit that probably 8:30, 8:45 at night, the night before the game on Thursday, that, I was going to lace them up and maybe look stupid out there, or maybe look all right, but I'm not in shape, man. I'm not what I used to be.
Well, that was my next question. Like honestly, like, obviously, we're both players, right?
Yeah.
What percentage would you say you were playing that game of like game shape that you think would be appropriate to be playing pro? Because obviously you had a very long career, so you know.
All right, so let me put it this way. I went to the morning skate to do my physical, right? After the morning skate shot, I was like, no, I can't do this, right? So I talked to a brother who's on the team who I played with in Syracuse back in the days, and I'm like, bro, I'm thinking out loud. I'm like, I'm happy I'm not playing more than a few minutes tonight because um, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not
you're
gonna be able to
gassed.
do
Yeah.
this, right? And bro looks at me and he's like, What do you mean a few minutes?" He's like, "Well, I'm like, in the coast, for those who don't know, you have 10 forwards, so 3 lines plus one." I was like, "Well, I'm the plus one for sure." Right? He's like, "No, Pierre, you don't understand. There's 5 guys who are either playing their first game or like their first week with the team." And I looked at him. I was like, "So that means like I might be playing?" He's like, "You're playing. Like you're playing tonight." So
No
I went
way.
back to the hotel. They got me a hotel room. I laid down and I couldn't sleep because I had so much work going on that day. I was doing emails in bed, and so I just relaxed. But when I got to the game, let's say like starting and to answer your question, I would say I was probably 40% of what I should be to be playing at that level.
Okay.
Okay. But then that first shift happened and the adrenaline kicks in, and
Yeah.
then I was 110%. There was nothing stopping us. I felt great. I don't think I was skating, but I felt great.
So did they have the lines up after like the morning skate, like how they do like in the AHL
Yeah,
and the show?
yeah, buddy. But I saw my number, which was 91, way too skilled for me, right? And I see number 91 on the third line, okay, and I'm like, the coach is just doing that to be nice, right? Respectful for the veteran. I'm gonna show up, and I'm not playing. Like, there's not a shot, dude, in my head that I'm playing more than 3 shifts, right? When there's no whistles for a long time, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a shift after like 8 9 minutes of no whistles. I'm ready to go, right? I'm gonna kill 30 seconds for them, chip it out, chip it in, kind of thing. But no, man, third shift in, and I go right on the ice, like first line, second line, and I'm on third line. I look back, I'm like, really, I'm going. All right, let's go. So I was
So
I was ready mentally because I've done it for so long, but I
yeah.
was very surprised.
Yeah, man. That it's so awesome though, Pierre-Luc. So how long had it been since your last pro game to the one a couple weeks ago?
Oh well, the last game before that was when I played for Laval, right, North American,
Yeah. So
NHL, which
yeah, that's right. So yeah, that season I played 10 games. I'm so glad I didn't have to fight you, bro. I think I fought
yeah,
Bordy. But
yeah,
but before Laval though, how long had it been?
another 2.5 years.
2017,
I retired 5
2018
years
ish?
ago.
That's right.
So I
That's
would
right.
say so, yeah, yeah, 15, maybe 16. 16 is probably when I retired, 16, 17.
And then at what part of the game was your fighting major?
First shift.
That was the first shift?
First shift. Yeah, man.
Oh, that's
I'm on
so
the
awesome.
bench. Oh, it was perfect. Like it couldn't happen any better than this. So on the third line, right? And like I'm telling you, I was thinking he's gonna send the young guys, he's not gonna play me. But first line goes out, they do their 30 seconds, they come off, and second line goes on, and 10 seconds into their shift, he calls the next line, which is I can't remember the name of the guy. It's like it's all
Yeah.
blurred right now, but he's
Yeah.
like Joe, John, and Pierre, you're up, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. Who do I got? He's like, you got Le Riviere, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like I can't read the name of the players. Like, well, give me a number. What's his
What
number? He doesn't
number?
know the number, right? So he's like,
Yeah.
you got Le Riviere, and I'm like, well, what's his fucking number? And sure enough, Riviere comes towards the bench, but I don't see his name in the back, so I have no idea that this is him. So he's like, go, go, go. So I jump on the ice, and all the coach says is like, Pierre, get on the forecheck, go, go, go. I'm like, all right. So I skate, towards the offensive zone, and sure enough, they go deep, and I'm on the left wing. They go D to D up the middle. And that centerman is, turned around, catching that pass. And then he turns around and he sees me, and it felt like 10 seconds to me. But you know how fast it happens from blue line to top circle.
Oh yeah.
That guy was not moving. He was like, all he had to do was, a little fake like that. And I haven't skated at that level in so long that I would have been gone, right? He gives me a little fake, head fake, shoulder fake, and my knees would have buckled. I would have looked stupid, but he stayed there. So right through the guy.
Boom.
And Madza, who made the pass, just came over and he didn't give me a chance to say no, which, credit to him. And the rest is, yeah, you saw the fight.
Yeah, dude, it was an awesome fight.
Yeah.
I saw how fired up you were after the fight, and I was thinking like, because I saw it when I was doing the research, right, Pierre-Luc? So
Right.
I had just seen how early on in your career how you played for them, and then you played for them a second time, and then this is Adirondack I'm talking about, and then I'm like, wow, this
Yeah.
guy's playing in Adirondack's arena where he started his career. Is that where you started your pro career?
Yeah, my very first year pro. That's
Yeah,
where I started. That's where I learned
right?
the game. That's where I learned to speak English. That's where I got my first fight. Like, yeah, so many good memories. And if you ask me, like, what was my best year, like where I had the most memories, it's probably my very first year. And I don't know if it's like that for most players, but there was a lot of stuff going on in Adirondack that year. So we had a great team, and yeah. So going back there was very special. And I go watch games once in a while. I go watch the Thunder play. It's good hockey. So
Yeah, no,
I
it's
like to
very
go
good
watch it.
hockey.
Yeah, we went. The last time I was there was the New Year's Eve, and they put on a great show. It was 4 or 5 thousand people in the barn and fireworks and everything. It was awesome. So no, it was
So
special to go
yeah,
back.
Pierre-Luc. I mean, we're fresh on it right now. I mean, this you telling me about the English and all that. That's even cooler. But the reason why I want to talk about Adirondack right now is because that's one place, bro, that I don't know anything about. That was a team that the AHL teams that I played for never played Adirondack. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Never crossed over. Like Rochester, Rockford, the Chicago Wolves. You know what I mean? So like, there's a
Yeah.
few teams I don't know of, and two of them are places where you played. One's Abbotsford, and then the other one is Adirondack. So let's talk. Let's go to this time right here. So Adirondack, this is your first year pro, right?
Yeah.
Your first year pro. Now you mentioned learning English there. So tell me about that, Pierre-Luc.
Well, I'm from Quebec City. I took some English classes in school, as you like most people do, but you get to a place like New York State where people speak really fast. I was struggling, and to make it even worse, my roommate was Mark Hurtubise, who's a French guy. It was great, but it slew my learning down a little bit. Like I needed that. I needed that support big time. I had Fouché on the team, Hugo Belanger, two like UHL East Coast legends. Like well, Cooch played in the show too. We had such a good group, and I had a bunch of good French guys. And believe it or not, I'm in contact with more guys from that team. What was it, like 18 years ago? I'm in contact
Yeah.
with more guys from that team than I am
Oh
with
five, oh
every
six.
other team combined. Yeah, I stayed in touch with everybody pretty much. Guys like one's a police officer in New York City, and when I played in Jersey, would come see me. One's he's in banking in Messina, New York, and he's best friends with one of my best friends here. So we all stay connected. One of them is is actually one of the his kid is 7, just like my son, and they play together. They play hockey together. So we coach
No
together through the
way.
lottery. So we just have such a good. We had a special group to me, and it was just fun. But yeah, so I learned English with those guys. Tried to play cards in the back of the bus as a rookie. It wasn't easy. I
Yep.
never. I don't know if I made it really. I can't remember, but it was no. It was fun. I played only like 30 games there, so it wasn't that long because I got called up to
Exactly.
Albany in the middle of the
That's right.
season because of one of our boys, Mike Scroy, took a 15-game suspension to give me my first call up. So
That got
that
you
was
your
the
shot, eh? Scorsese's
yeah,
craziness got Pierre
yeah,
his first shot. So be
that's
it.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. So Ken Jensen got called up, and yes, Scroy took 15 games. So they called me up, and my very first game, I played Wilkes-Barre, and Yeah, I think it was it was my second game. My first game was against the Phantoms, and I think they didn't have anybody that game. They scratched everyone. That's the year that Riley Cote, Josh Gratton, Ben
Yep.
Carpenter, who's the Ben Eager, and nobody was fighting. Was no fighter were playing, so I actually got to play hockey. But I got to that game with 7 minutes left in warm up, so I didn't even warm up. I just went right at it. So that was a good memory. But my second game was against Wilkes-Barre, and Dennis Bonvie was on that team.
No
So that
way.
was that was a good
You
one.
played
That was a good
against
fight.
Dennis the Menace right
Yeah,
away.
yeah. I mean, I had no idea who he was. Right, he's not a guy that if he didn't, he didn't play in the
Yep.
NHL, or I
Yep.
didn't follow the NHL or the AHL when I was growing up, so I had no clue who he was. And after the fight, the everybody came to me and they were like, Pierre, how does it feel to fight against a legend like that guy? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't speak, like, I barely speak English. They're like, well, tonight was his, I want to say it's 3,000 penalty minutes was against
Probably
him.
something like
Something
that.
like three,
Yeah.
maybe 4,000. I could be wrong, but so I was like, oh boy. So I looked him up obviously after, and I couldn't believe I just fought that guy. He's a legend, right?
Yeah, dude. No, he's a big time legend. I've had him as a special guest on the show, and when I
Really, I
did the
didn't see that
research,
one.
yeah,
You
man, you
did?
got to check
Oh,
it out, man.
I
Yeah,
gotta check it out.
Bongi,
Yeah,
man, you know how big
great
of a
guy.
character man is, and anyone
Oh yeah.
that's fought him has like a different understanding because we
Oh
know
yeah.
how
Oh yeah.
special
Well,
he
when
is, right?
I played in Wilkes-Barre, and he was around the team. He was in the locker room a lot, right? So I
That's
got to
right.
know him off the ice, and what a great guy. What a great
Unbelievable,
guy.
buddy.
His hands are crippled. He's fought everybody, that guy. Unbelievable.
Everybody,
Yeah,
anybody, and everybody. Yeah,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah, yeah.
So Pierre-Luc. Okay, so one of the parts of the episode that I'm kind of excited about because I had a chance to live in the capitale. Okay, where
Yeah.
you're from. Now, were you born in Lévis?
Yeah. I was born in Levy. And hold on, something. Are we still there? Something
Yeah.
happened. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
My computer was acting up. Yeah, I was born in Lévis, right across the river from Quebec.
Yes. Now, for the listeners that aren't familiar with Canada and Quebec, Canada is one of the most culturally rich, historically rich places in the world, right? And I had a chance to live in the city. I had so much fun, Pierre-Luc. Like obviously I was living like in a condo close to old Quebec and like the university was right there and you know what I mean? And I was just at that age where it was just a really fun for a guy to be
Right.
living there, right? But I mean, you're from there. You know how rich the hockey was growing up. Like I want you to talk a little bit about the minor hockey in Quebec City growing up, brother. Like it must have been pretty competitive.
Well, listen, that's fun you said. I don't know if you know my background as a minor hockey player, Sean, but I was a double B player my whole life. Like there's triple A, double B, double C, and then ABC in Quebec, right where I'm from. So I was never a triple A guy, and people would probably say, yeah, no shit. Like you were a fighter, but no, I'm decent at hockey now. I worked hard, but as a kid, I was still a good player, but I was not a double A or triple A player ever. I played for fun. I was enjoying the game. I loved the game, and I played with my friends. And to the point where if one of my buddies was getting cut, I was gonna, cut myself down to play with my friends. Okay.
Yes.
Um, Now, when it got more serious was when I was in midget, and I started, subbing for the junior team, which was junior double A. So it was my first experience playing double A was junior, and it was as a player. But at that age I was bigger and stronger than most guys, and I could really like hit guys and make myself, make my presence felt. So that's where it really got competitive for me. But no, what you're saying, there's so many hockey players back home. It's not even right. Like it's I don't know if it's still like that, but
I think it
there
is.
was within a half hour of drive, you could play six different teams at any level. Again,
Yeah.
like the triple A all the way down to C. So it was crazy. There's a lot of players, and that's probably why the game. Well, it's Quebec. There's not much else to do. It's always freezing, right? So everybody plays
Well,
hockey back home.
Pierre-Luc, I wanted to go a little bit before midget I wanted to go to Pee Wee because
Oh
I
yeah,
know
man.
that you played in the Pee Wee International Tournament, right? In
Oh yeah,
Quebec City, the
yep.
big Pee Wee tournament, bro. So would you say that that was kind of like when it first started getting serious? Because, dude, it's hard to get into that tournament. And I seen that, I don't know, yeah, 2 years you played in the tournament,
I
right?
played 2 years, so just again, I was in double B my whole career, right? Or my old,
Yeah,
I don't want to call that a career. It's the game at that time. But I
yeah,
was Pee Wee double B as a first year and Pee Wee double B as a second year. And you're right, you have to win your way in. You have to be one of the. So they take, if I recall correctly, they would take. The first 8 games were thrown off, but game 9 to 16 they would make a standing out of that, and the top 2 teams were getting a bid in the tournament.
yeah.
And we did it both years. I can't remember if we finished first, second, or whatever, but I remember my very first time at the Pee Wee tournament. That's a good story. We are the game right after the opening game. All right. So, or sorry, right before the opening game, the official opening game, which was the Canadians and the Nordiques, right? So back then, that game, it's still today, man. They still draw like 10, 12,000 people.
Oh,
The
yeah.
the kicker on that was that our game was against St. Louis, and what's his name, Mark Stachny. Gee, that
Yeah.
was a far one. I think it was Mark Stachny. So Peter Stachny was doing the official face-off, and Peter Stachny is a legend back home, right? Like the
Legend.
the whole story. He's a god.
Big time.
So there had to be 14,000 people on the whole Colisée there, and yeah, so that was just fantastic. We ended up losing 3-2 to a St. Louis team that was had nothing to do in the double B division. They should have been a double A or triple A, right? But we battled hard, and so I tell everybody, because right now I don't know if you know, but I'm coaching a team of kids from Albany, Vermont, the area, and we go to the Pee Wee tournament in Quebec every year, the Adirondack Junior Wings, and I tell those parents every time, every year, that I have more memories, more amazing memories of that one game than I do of my first NHL game.
Yeah.
Like this is when the game was pure, it was real, there was no money, it was all about the game, right? And I
Passion.
have
Yeah.
unbelievable memories from that. And the NHL was great. Don't get me wrong, but like that Pee Wee tournament is such an experience, man. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was, I feel the same about it, Pierre-Luc. And so
yeah.
whenever I see one of my guests played in that tournament, I have to ask them, man. And like I see it
Yeah.
was a huge impact on you too,
Oh,
right?
but it's crazy. I can tell you everybody that was on my team. I can name every single player on that team. I mean, I played with them for most of my you know kids or growth, but I
Yeah,
can tell you everybody. I can see their face where they were sitting in that locker room because of the big. It's so big, man. Our coach,
I
the
know.
first lap you take, like you're this tall. You're not even 5 feet tall, and you're skating around, and it's just surreal. It's surreal. There's nothing like it.
It was my first taste of seeing what attention really was. Like I'm like, wow, this is what it means to be getting a lot of attention, right? And
Yeah.
like, it was quite the thing. I'm so happy they still have it, Pure Luke. Like, you know how you hear about things that they don't have it anymore, and we're like, look at me and you talking about this. Like, imagine if they didn't have the Pee Wee tournament anymore. I'm so happy that and you're actually still going to it, my man.
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable. My first year going there, we actually won in overtime. Our
No
first game.
way. Come
Oh,
on.
buddy, it was my first year. My friend, a guy who coached me, or it was a skilled coach here, Ron Kuehl in Clifton Park. He's coaching me my last maybe 6, 7 years pro, right? We're doing skills. And when I retired, he's the first one I called, right? Like, well, second one. I called my former agent, and then I drove to the hockey hut right in Clifton Park. So I pull in, and Ron's there, and I sat down. I'm like, yep, I'm done. You know, because I received 2 contract offers and they were not good enough for me to keep going, right? To justify
Yeah.
leaving everything here. So I sat down. I'm like, I'm done, man. And he's like, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, I'm done. Like I started, tearing up, and I'm like, dude, like
Yeah.
it was a great career. And Ron's like, well, now it's time for you to coach. It was like it was straight up. He was ready. He was like, all right, buddy, let's go. We're coaching
What's
this thing.
next?
We're going to Quebec City. All right. I'm like, oh, okay. Like he gave me a little push, so it was awesome. So my
Oh,
first year was
wow.
that. So my very first game coaching was at that Pee Wee tournament, and we
Oh,
won in
man.
overtime. So it's just everything happens for a reason, you know. The people you meet and the places you go and the things you say, like it was just awesome. But yeah, what a great
Wow.
tournament. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
dude.
do
I
a
didn't
great job.
know. Yeah, talk about a good transfer, though, eh, Pierre-Luc?
Yeah,
Like just mentally, you know what I mean? Because a lot of guys, man, they'll get depressed, they'll this, that, you know. But
yeah,
if you have something to distract you and that you can be excited about, like a new coaching gig, that's perfect, man.
yeah, yeah. I
Perfect.
got to do some skills, some skill. Like I was just like every tough guy. We're student of the games more than
Yeah,
most
big
players,
time.
right?
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
not anymore, but back in the days, the skilled guys didn't really practice skills as much as they do now, right? So we
Yeah.
had to work hard to stay where we
Yes.
were. So I can teach those things, and I'm good at it. Like I really have a passion for coaching, whatever it is. You know, you tell me, Pierre, I need you to coach this skier how to take that jump. I don't know anything about it, but man, I will take the challenge and I will make sure that I become a good coach. That's just how I am as a person. So with same thing with real estate, you know, I like when people call me. It makes me feel good, right? More than like if other agents call me about a deal, whatever, it is what it is. Like I'll do my job. But when an agent calls me asking questions about how to do things, oh, I'm a different person. I go home happy that day, you know.
Yeah, dude.
So being able to coach and help young players and just give back, it's just that's what makes me happy right now.
And
You
that's
know,
really what it's all about at the end of the day, right? That's why we got into this, man, is to
that's
have
right.
fun, right? Yeah, dude. No,
That's
100%.
right.
So, dude, so now you mentioned, Sean, I don't know if you know about my minor hockey, but I was, double A, less than that. When I was looking at the numbers, this is what I gathered. I gathered that this is what I thought. I thought you were a late bloomer because when I was looking at the major junior, I'm like, okay, it's only showing me 2 years at Baie-Comeau.
Right.
So this guy obviously didn't play his 17-year-old season, right? Like he must have started like a year later and then
That's it.
boom, success for him right away. Like, so I'm excited to talk about this part of your career, dude. I want to talk about first where you played the year before Baie-Comeau, like,
Okay.
and then I want to talk about how you getting onto Baie-Comeau because this is huge. A lot of things happen in like 2 years here, brother. You go from wherever you were to major junior to getting drafted to the NHL. Like it's amazing.
I feel like you did your homework because this is a great part of my story. You're absolutely right. This is fun.
I'm excited to
So,
hear it.
so I played midget double B, and
Midget double B.
yeah, yeah. There
Okay.
was double A and then triple A,
Yeah,
right?
no, I know.
Right. So, going back a little bit, when I turned 15, one of my friends came to me and a little shyer, you know, not the outgoing guy, but he's like, Pierre, there's a new boxing gym opening up in the neighborhood. You want to go check it out with me? I had zero interest in boxing. I never been in a
Okay.
fight. I got punched twice as a kid, and both times I rolled over and cried. Okay, like that wasn't me. I was not a fighter. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go with you just to help him out, right? Buddy, walked in there, walked down the stairs in Navy, and the sound of the bags, the thickness of the air, the darkness, everything. I hooked, right? I was hooked. I had to go boxing every single day. Um,
Wow.
the smell of the taping, like everything. Turns out I was good at boxing, right? After like 3-4 weeks, my trainer or my coach was like, Pierre, you got to start boxing because you're just, you're going to plateau and you got to get in the fights. And I'm like, sure. So I brought the waiver. I'm 15. I brought the waiver home and I showed it to my dad. I'm like, Dad, you got to sign this waiver so I can fight. I was like, what do you mean can fight? Well, I've been boxing. He's like, yeah, you told me it was for training. I'm like, yeah, but I'm good at it. I want to fight. So you need to sign a waiver. My dad started crying at the table. I was like, "No, I'm never going to let you sign that. I'm never going to fight. I'm never going to let you fight. I'm never going to sign that." So sure enough, it never happened. I had to wait until I was 18. Okay. So going back to my hockey, um, I was not a fighter on the ice. I was not, and I never had been in a real boxing fight either. So I was invited to sub in junior double A, which I did, and I did good. But that summer I turned 18, right, in June, and I had my first fight June 5th or maybe June 3rd. Like maybe we messed with the rules a little bit. I had my
In
first
the
fight right
in the
around my
ring?
birthday. In the ring.
In the ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
well prepared. Like I was over prepared. I had 3 years of I should have been fighting. At that point, I should have
Oh,
had
wow.
40 fights, right? So I get in the ring that day in my hometown and I win my fight and it's all done, right? Nothing crazy happened. Then I get 2 weeks later, I have another fight. I lost that fight. It was against an older dude. He had to be 25, 26, and I was a kid at 18, right? Still. And then my third fight, this is where it all changed for me. It was one of those hockey player galas. So I want to say it was Bro.
Yeah,
Remember
Mike
Bro?
Bro.
Mike Bro, yeah. Jacques Dubé. There was a bunch of
Oh,
North
oh
American
yeah.
League
No,
fighters.
I've done it too. I've done
You
it. I
have?
did it two
There
different
you go.
summers. I did
There
it
you
in
go.
'07 and in '08. I fought
Okay.
Terrio, dude. Fought
Oh my
throw out
God.
Lanny Man.
You're out
But
of your
anyway, yeah. So
mind.
so so tell me about the boxing gala was there was like five that was hockey player against hockey player, five that was pro against pro.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I go in the ring against that kid who's a 19, maybe 20 years. No, you have to be 18 because he was the junior Canadian champ. Okay. It's my third fight. It's his
But hold
31st.
on, not Bajo.
No,
Eric Marhel, but
no,
Eric? No, not
no,
him. Okay,
no,
because he was the
no, no,
Canadian
no.
champ at one time, and he did
But
those
yeah,
galas
I think he
too.
was like senior. I was junior still because I was 18, right? There was that date
Okay,
thing where. So anyway, I fight that guy and I win my fight, right?
you won?
I beat the guy, okay? And it was a good fight, like a very good fight. So that was my third fight, but there was 2 weeks later, it was a fourth fight, another one of those gala in his hometown, okay? And people started talking, right? There's that guy who plays hockey, but he's a fighter, and he just beat the Canadian guy, Canadian champ, blah blah blah. So I go to the ring and I'm getting ready for my fight. It's just another fight for me, nothing special. And as I'm getting my gloves on, my boxing coach is in front of me, right? Like this is like locked in, and he's taping. And there's that guy who shows up in a tracksuit behind him, and he's like trying to get my attention, and I'm like, what do you what the fuck do you want, right? And sure, I look up and I see guy. It's not a tracksuit. It's one of those, hockey coat, and it's got the Drakkar logo on it. And he looks at me. And he's like, "Are you the hockey player, the fighter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess, And I'm like, "Whatever." But my coach is like, "How do you get this guy out of here, right?" And he comes back to me, and it's all in French. Like, Pierre, if you win this fight, you can come to training camp in Baie-Comeau. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, just get out of here. Leave me alone. I'm locked in. So I go up there, I win my fight, get off the ring, and this guy is standing there again, right? He's like, Pierre, we'd love to have you come to training camp with us. Do you mind if I get your information? I'm like, so now he explains to me that, they're rebuilding and they have all that room for hockey players, and he doesn't say tough guys, right? He talks about hockey players. I'm like, sure, I'll go to training camp. I never said no to an opportunity, right? So I get off and I think it's all over. He's gonna forget about me. But a month later, I get a letter, right, with an invitation to training camp in Baie-Comeau. So at that point, it gets real, man. I'm like, oh boy, this is happening. And now I get calls from the other scouts, the local scouts from Quebec, and then I want to say that the main scout, the scout en chef, called me back then. And anyway, so long story short, I end up going to camp, and that's it, man. That's how I made the team out of nowhere. There was no, I don't even know if there was any kind of formal invitation. I got a letter, and that was it. Yeah,
So what were your billets like in Baie-Comeau?
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. I had the Guy and Jose. They were absolutely amazing. I was 18, right? I didn't come in through the hockey stuff. I didn't leave to play midget AAA. So I was ready. I was in CJAP. Like I was ready to have my apartment. Like I was on my own. I had my car. I was working. I always had jobs. Like I was not one of those hockey guys that needed to be, billeted. Like I could have gone on my own. So they gave me all the room I wanted. The year before me, they had Marc-Andre Roy, right?
Oh
Marc-Andre Roy.
yeah.
right?
Is that the
So
year he broke the record for the penalty
yeah,
minute?
the year before was that year. Yeah, so they loved their tough guys in Baie-Comeau, man. They really
Oh,
did,
yeah.
and they gave me what was for me the best billet by far. They took care of me. They were just I had the whole basement for myself. They were, it was my space, and whenever I wanted to hang out, I would go up, and they turned out to be some of my best friends in my hockey journey, for sure. They're amazing people. Yeah. So my billet was great. Everybody in Baie-Comeau was great. It was a small town, and we were not really good, honestly. We didn't have a good team. We were rebuilding, but the fans were there every night, man. They loved the fighting.
Yeah, dude.
They did.
I heard all about Baie-Comeau. You know who I heard it from? Our good buddy Ryan James Hand.
Ah, boy,
Handsy.
Enzi,
Handsy, man. What a guy, eh? Oh yeah.
we're good. So Enzi was the like he was the number one guy in Baie-Comeau my first year. He took all the tough guys, all the heavyweights, right? And I had the number two guys. So he would fight Eric Nielsen, and I would fight Vachon.
Yep.
He would fight John Tremblay, and I would fight. He would fight Davis in Halifax, and I would fight somebody else. Right? He paved the way for me. He really did. Like my first 20 fights were against number twos and number threes. Right? So because we had Lamarche who would just step in, JF Jacques would fight so once in a while. But then after me, I would say 20 fights, and that's just a random number. I started fighting those heavyweights, right? And I did good.
Yep.
And so I want to say I probably had 38, 40 fights that year. So my first 20
Wow.
were like get to know what I could do. And then I started switching. I started being comfortable, and that's where I started surprising guys. But no, man, my first 20 fights in juniors were good. And I'm lucky they were not against heavyweights because it wouldn't have lasted. Yeah.
So, dude, that's absolutely perfect, though. Like, so, like you get in there, you have the opportunity to show what you got, but you get to climb the ladder, though, Pierre-Luc. That's what you
Yeah.
did, right? You're climbing the ladder.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, you were fighting the toughest guys in the league, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And when you look at like hockey in general, like that's the best scenario for any position you can play. Doesn't have to be the fighters. Like the
That's right.
skilled players, you throw them in the mix and you expect them to be the best and score every night, man. Like you need a special talent. Like you need somebody very special to be able to do that. And that wasn't me as a fighter. Like I was not that guy. I needed to build myself up. So yeah, after that year, I was drafted by New Jersey out of nowhere. Same thing. GM back in
Were
the
you
days.
on the draft list, though, throughout the
No,
season?
no,
Not
no.
once.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
I was not. Pierre Parent was the head scout, and I want to say he was the GM maybe back then in Bécamo, and he connected me with the Devils, Claude Carrier, the scout, the Quebec scout for the Devils, and they invited me to do the testing in North Carolina in Raleigh, and so I showed up there, and it was yeah, out of nowhere. Again, I don't speak English. I have David Conti and Lula Moriello and all those guys interviewing me and doing my best not to say something stupid. I'm not shaved. Like I don't know anything about the hockey world, man. Like I'm just a dumb young guy. And so yeah, I did the testing. I sucked at it, right? I really did because I was out of shape. We rented a van. We drove 16 hours from Quebec City the night before, and we got there at 9 at night, and at 10:30 in the morning, I'm on the treadmill. Like you're not gonna
Yeah, that's
perform, right?
tough. Yeah,
But they,
yeah.
they they saw like those guys are so smart. Like they don't need the numbers. They see how hard you push, and
Yeah,
and I was that fighter, which I did. So anyway, um, yeah. So they ended up drafting me seventh round,
yeah,
and yeah, that was that. It was my first
yeah,
love
dude. So seventh round, so now these were my questions for the draft. First of all, where was it?
in Raleigh, so North Carolina.
Okay, so yeah, so the draft was in North Carolina, but like when you were talking about the workout and the interview and all that type of stuff, So you're talking about that was the pre-draft interview, like right before the draft?
Yeah, that's Thursday, and the first round is Friday. Let's say.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. So
yeah.
now what about the night after the draft, man? Like how many people were down there with you? How did you celebrate this, Pierre-Luc?
Dude, it was not. There's not like anything just happened. It was just another day for us. Really, it was special, right? It was special, and it was a big step. But I mean, it never felt like I was gonna be in the NHL ever. Like I was drafted, yeah, okay, big deal. Like back to, my dad's a blue collar guy. My mom worked, at the hospital. It was nothing special. It was not like a goal. It was not a family dream. It was never something that was in front of us growing up. We didn't work for me to be, drafted. Like there was no such thing. It was, it was like a graduation, maybe. We're happy, good job,
Yeah.
moving on. Like now it's time to go to work. It was
Yeah,
always
man.
like that. It was not like I said, like we didn't spend our life trying to make it happen. You know.
I like to
So,
ask guys about their first camp because this would have been right after you got drafted. That September, you went to your first camp before you returned to Baie-Comeau. So what was it like going to that first NHL camp with no experience whatsoever?
oh, buddy, I got a couple stories for you. The first one is, how it is in New Jersey, or how it was. You had to shave,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, everybody
So
knows that, and I'm the French guy that doesn't know that and that doesn't speak English, right? So I show up with my whatever, I don't know what you call that, like goatee or whatever.
yeah, goatee.
And yeah, and so the trainers all come to me one after the other, and they're like, Pierre, you got to go shave. And I'm like, okay, yeah, right, okay. Moving on, right? I go to the next station, which is, the physical. I do my physical, and the doctor's like, Pierre, don't forget to shave before Lou gets here. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. The next guy, next interview, then I do my same treadmill test, the physical, and the strength coach like, Pierre, don't forget to shave before Lou gets here. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then Tommy, the masseuse, grabs me and he brings me in the bathroom and he gives me a razor. He's like, shave. He's like, you're shaving now. Like I was like, oh, you guys are serious. So I started looking around. Everybody was clean cut, right? Shave. So yeah, that was my first story there. But again, I don't speak English. I didn't get it. I didn't understand any of that. But that year was the year where I played. I ended up. I was not under contract, but I ended up playing or signing a two-way contract in UHL, United League, which was Adirondack,
Yep.
and Albany, right?
Yes.
And that was probably the one good recommendation my agent gave me in my career was like stay close to them because my other option was to go to Augusta and go back to the Q. And I really wanted to go in the coast, but I ended up going to my least favorite place or my third choice. But it was the best decision because, as I told you earlier, Janie got called up and Scroisey took that suspension and I was in, right? If I was in Augusta, I don't know if I get called up. And if I was in the queue, this never happens, right? So
Yeah.
my whole story would have been totally different. So it was just it was just a good choice. So I ended up, playing there for my first year, but like finish on that first training camp and like it was just my first pro game. This is the other good story I want to share with you. So there's me, Scroisey, Jenny, David Clarkson, and Carpenter on our team, right? So three heavies and two other guys that can fight. And then on the other team, it's in Philly. There's Riley Cote, Ben Eager, Josh Granton, and a couple other guys. And back then, the first thing you do in the locker room is okay, you got this guy, I got that guy, I'm gonna take this guy. So Scroisey is the guy who's, you know, telling us because he's been around longer. He's like, Jenny, you take this one, I'll take that one. Pierre, you got Josh Gratton, and I'm like, okay, sure. I didn't know Josh Gratton 150 pins the year before, fought every heavy, man. He was the man. Like that year, he was the man. He knocked me out twice in that fight. You said in your intro I never went down. I went down that fight, buddy.
Well, I
He
mean,
knocked me out twice.
1 in 100 is okay, Pierre-Luc.
Yeah, okay, thank you, buddy. No, I'll admit it, man. He was a tough guy. He was a tough guy, and that was my welcome to the pro moment, you know. And somehow I still got my contract on the way out, you know. So I
So
was happy.
let me ask you this, brother. Let me get this right. So you signed a two-way AHL East, like AHL deal? Like that's what you
Yeah,
signed? You didn't sign the entry level right off the hop.
no, because I got drafted
Wow.
at 18,
Now I'm
right?
even more impressed, my man. I'm even
Yeah,
more
dude.
impressed right now.
I got
This is a
drafted at
journey that is even
18.
better.
Yeah, I know. I was drafted at 18, so at 20, they didn't have to give me my entry level,
That's right.
right? So Lou gave me a chance to make a decision, and I took that one. What sucked, okay? And I mean, I can't complain. Obviously, I'm not complaining, but at the time, you know, I finished the season in the AHL where I fought all the big guys in you know, I
Yeah.
couldn't name them all, but just Bonvie was on, you know, and after that year of playing pro, they offered me my entry level contract, right? And I was like, I'm gonna get that big signing bonus that everybody wants or needs when they start pro. And no, it
Yeah.
didn't happen. There
Didn't
was no
happen.
bonus. There was no bonus. I got in slowly, and yeah, it was prove yourself again and prove yourself again and prove yourself again until
Yeah.
I finally did it. You know.
New Jersey's similar to the Buffalo Sabres in that regard, where they can be really cheap with money with their young
Yeah,
prospects,
I heard you
especially
say
when
that.
they have the leverage. Like
Yeah,
they only have to qualify you. They only have to, you know what I mean? They only have to do certain things, right, Pierre-Luc? Where when we're
yeah,
the players, we're like, man, we deserve so much, but technically
yeah,
they can do this to us. It can be very frustrating. But one thing I'll tell you, man, New Jersey saw you take what pretty much was kind of minimal. And man, did you ever embrace the system though, Pierre-Luc? Did you ever work your way up through this, man? This is where it really gets exciting for me because this is the level that I was at. So I know what it's like to be that guy in the AHL. I know what it's
yeah.
like to get called up. I want to hear what it was like for you. Like I know October 22nd, 2008, that was the first NHL game, right?
Yeah,
I want to
right there, right there.
right there. That's so awesome, man.
My only
Pierre-Luc, I
hard
want I
part.
want you to talk about tell the listeners how you got called up and what it was like the first time you went up to the NHL.
So my brother was in town in Lowell, Massachusetts, visiting, and I played the night before, 2 nights before, and that's another night that I went down actually because I fought Kevin Westgard. Okay,
Oh
so
man,
big
I
boy,
heard he was an
big boy.
animal.
Oh, nah, he was tough, man. He was so strong. So he knocked me down. Don't want to say he knocked me out, but he knocked me down, and yeah, my brother was in town, so he left the next day, and he was on the highway going home, and I got the call that I was called up that day. You know when you kind of feel it, it's coming, and it's kind, because there's injuries up top, and they're not winning, so they're like somebody's gonna get called up. And that year, I actually played some preseason games, so I knew I was in the system at that point,
You were
right?
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's that preseason. I fought Brash in New Jersey, and I did good, right? So I knew
In
that
preseason,
yeah, preseason. My first NHL preseason fight was Brash.
big
Uh,
Donald Brashear.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was another moment, man. Because growing up, I was not watching fighters, but when I was watching a fight, it was Brash or Larac, right? It
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
two number one guys back then.
Yep.
And my first game, my first preseason game, was against the Rangers, and Brash is pushing around Marty's net, and Jacques Lemaire gives me a tap in the back. He's like, "Go." No, sorry, it was Sutter back then. Okay. So he pushes me in the back, and I go, and I get in front, and I look at Brash, and we're both French Canadians, so I look at him in French, and I'm like, Brash, like I'm gonna have to go with you, right? And he looks at me, right? He turns around, good luck in English, and I was like, I felt like I had the Terminator in front of me.
No
Okay,
way,
the
man.
Terminator was looking at me like you're dead to me. I was expecting him to be like, yeah, man, let's go. Good luck. Like, let's fight. Let's have a good time. I'm going to give you a shot. You're going to be, in the NHL. No. None of that. He's like, you're dead to me. Okay. So we fight, and I did
Oh,
good. It was a good fight. So I knew I was in the plan. So my first call up, yeah, my brother was leaving. So I called him. Or actually, he had a pager, man, back then. He had a
yeah,
pager. So I paged
yeah.
him. And he pulled over and he called me back and he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I just got called up, man. What are you doing?" So if I recall correctly, I think my brother came back, but then everybody, my whole family and friends came down. Probably had 25 people at that game. But
Wow.
it was a great game. It was against Dallas. There was legends on the other team, and like I can read you the list, but like Mike Modano,
Yeah.
Brendan Morrow, Mike Ribeiro, Brad Richards, man, like
Wow.
all those guys, Phil Boucher, like they all played over 500 games on the
Yeah.
other team, and
Yeah.
here I am on game number one. Back then the Stars and New Jersey were the teams, right? They all had veterans, and so I don't know. Again, I look back on it, and like, what was I doing in there?
And you got a point, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, I got an
You
apple.
got an apple.
David
Yeah, man.
Clarkson actually scored, and yeah, that was pretty cool. So it was made it 5-1, so it was like with like 8 minutes left in the game. So it was kind of an unnecessary goal, or it didn't really mean anything, but it was pretty cool. Yeah,
So the next season, these are questions that I also have for you because it's so interesting, bro. This journey of yours, 2009, 2010. You sign a contract, right? What kind of contract? Meaning, like, it was a two-way NHL AHL contract, or was it a one-way contract?
that way I had they gave me this was great. I had a one first. They offered me a two-way and then a one-way, and I was like, no, man, I can't earn my one way at this point, right? So I told my agent, you go back to Lou and you tell him I want a one way for three
One way,
years.
yes.
Yeah. And Lou wouldn't budge. So he's like, no, you're gonna have a one way, your second year two way, and your third year one way, right? So I got my 2 years of one way, but in the middle I was caught with a two way in there. So I had to deliver, right?
Yeah.
So it was no, it was special, man. My first so that year it was Jacques Lemaire coaching. My first year of that contract, and Mario Tremblay, great guys, loved them to death, but they were tough on me. They were not going
Yeah.
to give it easy. So I was LT scratch, and Andrew Peters actually signed that year with us. So
Really?
I was in that role again where there was a 1 and 2 guy, right? Andrew Peters was established. He was there for like 5-6 years before me, so he
Imbo?
was
Yeah.
much bigger than I was. So I had him taking all the number one guys, and whenever I played with him, I was taking the two guys. So in Toronto, for instance, like he fought Colton Orr, and I was gonna fight Jay Roselle. Still tough guy, but like I'd rather fight Jay than Colton Orr. No disrespect, Jay, you're a tough guy, but like, you know what
Of
I'm saying.
course. We
So
all know.
yeah, yeah. So back then, I was again lucky to have him, and he was my roommate, took good care of me. But anyway, so long story short, I was LT scratch for about 25 games in a row that year.
That
To
could
the
be
point
tough.
where, yeah, man, in morning skate, my name's on the board, just like you talked to earlier. I could see I was on the fourth line, and then I would miss a pass, and Mario would come see me. He's like, Pierre, not tonight. I would get LT scratch like that. So
Oh man.
but it was teaching me to be a good pro every day, 24/7, right? So
Yes.
it was a good lesson. And again, I wouldn't change it for anything because, man, I got to play the last like 25, 26 games, and I got to play in the playoffs that year. So it
Wow.
was it was pretty special. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
Now, nowadays, Pierre-Luc, there's a big difference between playoff hockey in the NHL, regular season and playoff hockey. It's like night and
Yeah.
day. It was even more intense before, though, wasn't it? Like when you were playing those playoff games, was it a whole other level?
I don't know that it's different now, but yeah, man, that was the real game. There was no penalties, right?
Yeah.
It was dirty. It was physical, man. Like It was something. It really was. I miss hockey, but I miss playoffs more than anything. Like to me, the season was way too long. 80 games. It was painful, and then you get in playoffs. You don't fight anymore. You just battle. You play. You're with the boys, and nothing else matter. I miss that big time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, bro. I hear you, man. I feel you, man, and I love it. I love it. I love it so much, bro. Pierre-Luc, I want to talk to you about the year 2010, 2011. Um, Obviously, you started the year in New Jersey, right? You got, in my opinion, you got screwed over pretty bad by that rule, that fighting rule. They started implementing many rules to, let's say, deter players from fighting, I guess, like to make it
Right.
harder to fight. And if you got in within those lines, and I think with yours it was if you got an instigator in the last 5 minutes, they like would give you a suspension and
That's
something
it.
like that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and I know obviously it was very unfortunate, right? But what I wanted to talk about, Pierre Luc, was what you did in the AHL that season, buddy.
Yeah. That
Okay.
was a good one.
Do you remember that year clearly, bro? Because, bro, first of all, you put up really respectable numbers. I mean, you had 13 points in the AHL is very good. You got guys that are on the second line that will end up with those point totals at the end of the
Right.
year. The 334 PIMs. What impresses me is that the AHL refs don't usually give tens. The AHL is not a league that's a 10-minute misconduct league. You
No.
really got to earn that. You got to do something really wild to get that. So I want to know, how did you manage to get through that season unscathed like that? Like, it was really lucky injury wise. Like, bro, that's so impressive, bro.
Yeah, well, I was banged up, man. I really
Were
was
you?
that year. Oh, I was hurting. But the reason why I got all those pins is two words. It's Louis Robitaille. Do you know Louis?
I know who he
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Louis was my line mate, and he was starting crap all the time. All the time. And he never finished it. It was always my job to go in. It was all I love him to death, man. He was a great, great mentor for me that year. He's coaching now, right? And he's passionate. And it was so contagious. He would get me going, on the way to Syracuse from here, 2.5 hour drive. And that day they signed John Mirasty. I had no clue who John Mirasty was. Like I knew, but I didn't really know, right? And he
Yeah.
started in the bus showing me videos of John Mirasty. Actually, in the car that morning, because we had the morning skate in Albany, and he showed me videos because I was driving him, and he showed me videos of Nasty, and I was like, oh boy, okay. Like he was showing me against like the Pat Cote and all those guys,
Yeah.
and he gets bent. It's almost like they're hitting him with a baseball bat, and he just kept going and kept going, and I was like, fuck, I gotta fight that guy tonight. So in the bus, he's like, oh Pierre, Mirasti's gonna be waiting for you, right? On the way there, I'm trying to nap, right? And he's like, oh boy, Mirasti's ready. He's so pumped to fight. You think about it, Pierre, how pumped he is. You're an NHL guy, and he's fighting you tonight. Like he's so pumped. And I got so freaking nervous, man. Like, but that was he knew that it was gonna get me going right in the right
Yeah.
way because I got out there and I dropped the gloves and I grabbed Mirasti, and you can watch that fight. And I never talked to John about that if I actually connected, but like John started throwing his quick punches, and I took it. I was like, oh, okay, I can take that guy. I'm all right. And I threw one bomb, and I don't know if I connected on his chin, but John fell. So I don't know if he closed, if I
Yeah.
shut the lights or if he fell. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I survived that fight, right? Like
Mhm.
it was one of those moments where I'm like, but again, it's the kind of relationship that me and Louis had. Like he would find the right buttons for me, and I know he does that for his players, not necessarily fighting wise, but like he goes in the locker room and he talks to them the right way to get them going. And to me, if he came to me and he said, Pierre, you're the toughest guy, you're gonna kill that Maraski, you got him, like that doesn't do anything for me, right? So, but it was always like that. He would start shit against Hershey because he played in Hershey, right? First shift, he ran their goalie. I want to say it was Saborine, the goalie. We played a long time, and Louis ran him over, took his knee out. First shift, man. First shift.
Oh,
Louis
hey.
back. He was a fan favorite in Hershey, right, for a long time, and he couldn't
Oh,
control it. Like he didn't mean to do that, but like he goes at the puck and the goalie comes out. Like he's not stopping. So that was another one, a brawl. Always, always, always. So no, that's why I put up those numbers because I had guys like him. I had my goalie back then was Jeff Frazee, and the score could be 8-1 for us. And a guy would stop in his face and he would get up and start a fight with him. And obviously, I'm on the ice for the last minute of the game, right? A fight that meant nothing to me. I didn't want to fight right there. So, but my goalie started a fight, so I had to pick it up. I couldn't just, skate away. So I had everything was perfect. My teammates were pushing for me that year.
Yeah, man, that's sick. So, okay, now before we leave New Jersey and Albany, before we leave this time, I gotta talk to you about the night. I think it was March 2010 when Bam Bam came when you know what? Yeah, when Bam Bam came back to New Jersey, when Kem Jansen's came to New Jersey, bro, and you guys had that 3-minute fight, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I want the listeners to understand that hockey is such a unique system. Like we go to training camps, there's players that are years ahead of us. And the contracts are only so many years, man. And we'll overlap with them for a little bit, but then they'll leave. But if they're a player that made a big impact and they come back and we're their position, chances are it's going to be on, right?
Yeah,
Jean-Luc?
yeah, yeah. So the Jenny was in DA when I was in the UHL. He was in the
Yeah.
NHL as I was in the AHL. My second year actually playing the coach, he was in the AHL again. Like so I saw him and I'm a little bigger than him, but not I'm like you, like we're not big guys. So I had to find a way to fight those big guys and I watched Jenny's fight. So I studied his fights and I became like a Jenny 2.0. Like I could fight like him. And if you watch his fights and my fights, we're the same guy. Like we lock a guy
Very
out, we
similar.
take one, and we go over. Right? That's what I did. I could switch more than he did, so it was a little different. But he had quicker hands than I did, so I couldn't do everything he did. So anyway, when he got traded, I got my job in the NHL, and when Jenny was coming back, well, the guys in the locker room, the Marty brother, the uh, David Clarkson, right, Colin White, they were all telling me, Pierre, Jenny's coming. Jenny's coming. He's gonna want to fight you, man. He's tough. He's gonna want to put on a show. It's gonna be a tough fight. And same as Louis Robitaille did to me with Mirasti, right? So in
Yep.
my head, I'm like, damn, man, okay. Like I know I can get him. I know I can take him, but man, now I'm starting to okay, this is for real. So sure enough, first shift, he comes at me probably 5 minutes into the game. He comes to me and he's like, let's go. And let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
The
but
fucking
so
fight
that
never ended. My lower back still hurts from that fight. Okay. It was unbelievable.
dude, I'll tell you, obviously I watched it again before our show today, man. And like from a former player that did that role, me watching the fight is different from a fan, right? Like the fans watching it and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, get another one in. Yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm watching it and I'm like, I can't believe the patience you guys have, how
Yeah.
smart you both were in that fight, the amount of punches. Like I'm thinking, okay, I know how sore his hand must be at this point. Oh my God. And then by the time I saw the end of it, I'm like, when I was saying that, it was only 1/3 into the fight. That was like 45 seconds of the fight. The fight went 3 minutes. How did Pierre-Luc and Cam throw that many bombs that connect and not have to stop? I couldn't believe it, bro. I couldn't believe the amount of time that you guys fought. I couldn't believe the battle to the end.
Yeah, there was nobody going down that fight. There was nobody going down. And yeah, there was a lot of punches that connected. It's hard to tell, but we were just going, and we both wanted the other guy to fall so bad because
Oh
he was
yeah.
back, and I had something to prove, right? Like I was taking his job, like I had to be better than him, right? So it was unbelievable. But what a great guy. Like he wouldn't have given me what Brashear gave me. You know, you're dead to me. He would have been like, let's go. All right, come on. Right? Like he would have kept going. Like there's different aura, I guess, different attitude. But yeah, it was not. It was probably my most memorable fight. You know, of them all.
Oh yeah, man, it was incredible. And hats off to you and Bam Bam Cam, right? You
Yeah,
guys are just ultimate warriors. I got goosebumps watching that fight, Pierre. That's how awesome it
same,
was, dude.
same. I still do.
Yeah, dude. So, dude, that awesome jersey just over your right shoulder there, man. The trade to Calgary, right?
Yeah,
So you get traded to the Calgary Flames, right? Now, what I found impressive is that you go to Calgary and like some guys, Pierre-Luc, like they'll get a change of scenery and sometimes grass isn't always greener on the other side, right? And it's over. Bro, you played for two more NHL teams after this point. And like I just find it so incredible. So I want to talk about the Calgary experience first. Like so because these teams are very historical teams too, right? And
yeah.
Calgary had some pretty big names at that time. So like what was it like being a Flame, brother?
Well, you go from, like I said earlier, a place where, clean cut, shave, army like, to I don't want to say like a country club, but man, it was laid back
Oh
in Calgary.
yeah?
It was very laid back, not in a bad way, like not wrong, but just so different. So it was. I fell in love with the game again, right? Um, that summer when I got traded, I was dating a girl in Albany, and she actually we made the decision that she was gonna come with me, right? Like, so
Right on.
she's my wife now. We have kids together, so it was a good story. It was a good decision.
The right one. The right one.
She's back there yelling at me right now because I'm not helping with the dishes, right? But no,
Happy
seriously,
wife, happy life, man, right?
happy wife, happy life. You're right.
Go.
So the story so it was a big change. Like literally, I'm in Quebec City with my girlfriend at the time, and we're just on the. I think I get a call from Lou that day, and I stepped outside, and she stays inside. I'm like, why is Lou calling me mid June, right, mid or July? And I stepped outside, and he's like, Pierre, an opportunity came up, and we decided to trade you to Calgary. You were very valuable to us. We respect everything you did. Thank you and good luck. And I'm like, okay, right. But at the time, there was stuff going on where I thought I deserved to be more played, more paid, blah blah blah. And I was a little bit of a, I was not the easiest probably to coach, right?
Yep.
So that happened, and that changed my perspective because I got to play more. It was not as serious. Um, but then I got to meet different people, experience the West Coast, travel in the Rockies. I got my wife to come with me. It was just awesome. It was a great experience, and the culture over there, man, the West Coast people was just so chill, right? And people
Yeah,
love their
dude.
hockey over there. So it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and the people, everybody in that organization. Like when I got sent down from Calgary to Abbotsford, like I could tell that it was like the GM and everybody was like sorry to let me go. Like it was like a family there, you know. So, but it had to happen, man. It had to happen. I got suspended in preseason for I think something that I didn't do right? I went to hit a guy, and the guy on a winger, and he turned his back, and instead of drilling him from behind, I literally jumped, and his head was here, but I was strong enough to protect him, and it
Try
was
to
Matt
avoid him, yeah.
Claxton. Yeah, no, I literally protected him. Like I hit his back with my body, but I was taking his head out if I did. So I protected him, and it was Matt Claxton who I fought many times, and we hated each other on the ice, but like there was a respect, right? There was a code there, and he got up and he's like, "I'm fine, dude. I'm totally fine." And so I had my phone call with Shanahan, who just took the job back then, and they were not going to give me a pass because they just decided. Jody Shelley got suspended, and I got suspended for 6 games, and that was that was the beginning of the end for me in the NHL because the Team Jackman kind of took my spot. He started fighting and he got all those games and he was a good player. He was a much better player than I was. So yeah, that was it. That's why I got sent down and yeah, it sucked, man. It sucked, but it was a good experience. It was a good 4 months, 3, 4 months that I spent there. And yeah, you said like guys like Jerome McGinley,
Yeah.
Mr. Hockey Canada, man, like it was impressive to see him. This guy walked after a golf tournament. I'll never forget that. There's a golf tournament in Calgary, and then we go to the Saddle Dome where the reception is, and the whole floor is covered with tables, and there's got to be 1,000 people in there, and it's loud, right? People are rowdy. There was a lot of drinking that day, by the people in the tournament, and Jerome walked in, and the volume went down. It's like everybody was waiting for him to say something. And like I listened to your podcast with JLJP, right, Grand Pierre, and you compare him to like Barack Obama, and like there's that presence of those guys when they walk in a place. That was it.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. And like that moment there where I'm sitting there and I'm the new guy in town, and I see Mr. Hockey Canada walking in, and I'm like, oh my god, like what a man. So no, it was special. It was special.
So like Jerome McGinley, like to give the listeners an idea, Jerome McGinley Jerome McGinley anywhere in Canada, but in Calgary specifically, like would it be like the same as like Prince Harry being in Calgary? Like is it like
Dude,
is he above any celebrity in Calgary?
I I I believe so. I believe he should be if he's not. I mean,
Yeah.
who else is from Calgary? Like, no, he's the man. He's the man. He's just he did so much. Didn't he have like 20 fights and 40 goals in 1 year? Something
Yeah.
stupid like that.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
And he
who
could
doesn't?
beat up the toughest guy on any team,
Yeah, yeah,
right? No one
yeah.
would want to fight him.
No, 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 dude. He was unbelievable. Yeah. But I played that. Then Kiprusoff was in the goal. Like we had some great guys on that
Wow.
team too. Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, Pierre, I wanted to ask you about Abbotsford, right? Like obviously Abbotsford wasn't the spot that you wanted to be at, but I was born in Vancouver, dude. And
Yeah,
and I gotta know, did you and the wife get to see the island? You mentioned the Rockies. Well, what was that part of the journey like? Never mind the hockey right now. Let's talk about
oh God,
BC.
man, DC was great. So we did so much, man. We did so much. My wife did more than I did because our road trips were 2 weeks. We would fly to
Oh
Houston
yeah, that's
and
right.
spend time there, so the wives would be back home, and my wife was the only one that actually she was older. She had a job. The other wives or girlfriends back then were much younger. Like we
Yep.
had a young team, and so she would hang out with them and go to Seattle, Vegas. She did the island, Vancouver Island, but then we spent Christmas in Whistler. You
Oh
know,
wow.
yeah, we had our not rookie night. We had our Christmas party, the team party in Vancouver, which was awesome.
No
Like the
way.
guys were fly fishing on what was it, the Fraser River.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so much to do there. It
See
was a
any
great.
whales?
No, I didn't, man. No, I didn't. I
You didn't
did
see
not
Free
enjoy it.
Willy?
No, I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to because we were always gone.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's a busy, busy schedule. 3-3s when you're at home and 2-week
Yeah,
road trips on the road, right?
yeah. We spent so much time at the Cactus Club then. I don't know if that's still around.
The Cactus Club, that was the
Yeah,
spot.
yeah, it was a spot. Yeah.
Straight up, bro. That's so cool, dude. So, bro, so okay. So now the next organization, right? Wilkes-Barre and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Now, this part of it, what I get, like what I'm curious about, and I'm hoping the listeners are the same as me, is like Wilkes-Barre is one of those places in the AHL that is like a special AHL team. Like there's a certain amount. Like Hershey's another one. I
Yeah.
I, I find Rochester is one of them. The ones that have the big rinks that actually get the big crowds. Okay, there's something special about these teams because some of them could probably be an NHL team. Because dude, we're seeing Phoenix maybe going to be playing in an arena that's might have 5,000 people for the next couple seasons, right?
Unbelievable.
that. Yeah. So I want to talk about Wilkes-Barre Scranton, the history, the culture to play for that team, and then, dude, I think anybody that's from Quebec, it's got to be special to play for the Pittsburgh Penguins, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, right, than other teams.
Well, you got
And I
Mario,
can't wait to hear
right?
about this.
You got Mario who's involved or who was involved. I don't know if he still is, but so yeah. But you skipped 1 year, man. I played for Norfolk the
Yeah.
year
Okay.
before the
You know
lockout
what?
year.
Let's
You
talk
know?
about Virginia Beach first. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, dude,
Let's
that
talk
was a
about that
blast
first.
there. That was a blast. I had a great time there. There was a bunch of older guys. I actually played with Jay Roselle there. Okay, that
With
I
who?
talked about earlier. Jay Roselle, who I
Oh,
talked
wow.
about when he was in Toronto. But we played together that year, and Rod Pelly, and there was a bunch of older guys on the team, and it was fun. But that year, man, I came back from my shoulder surgery. After Calgary, I got shoulder surgery, and I came back, and I did really good in the minors again. And I thought I was going to sign a long-term contract with Anaheim, right?
Okay.
And it never happened. Never happened. I had a good offer on the table, and it just went away because they ended up signing a couple other guys, Yonkman and Stortini.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So I got the boot, and I found out on Twitter on the first that I thought I was signing, and no, it didn't happen. So I don't even know why that didn't happen. So I go from having a very good offer on the table to nothing, right? And then it's July 10th, and then July 15th, and nothing's going on, right? So when I got a call from my agent saying Wilkes-Barre wanted to give me a contract, I was so bummed. I was very happy. Like I was like, okay, this is a good chance. I can establish myself there, and yeah. So that was very very cool. So I got there, and talk about training camp again. I'm I played in Baie-Comeau growing up, right in the Q, and the big rivalry was Rimouski, where Crosby played. Okay, and we sucked. It was our first year rebuilding, and we would lose games 8 or 9-1, where Crosby had 7 points. Right, so I hated this
Yeah.
guy. I was one of the guy who would say he was whining, he was not playing, was looking at the refs all the time. I was one of those guys until you get to meet the guy, right? So training camp, I'm riding the bike in the corner with a couple of AHL guys, and because the big guys show up later, a couple of days later or later in the day. Sid walked in the gym, and he looked over and he saw me, and he beelined and came and shook my hand, and he said, "Pierre, I'm glad you're on our side this time." Right? Fucking guy didn't have to do that, man. Like he took
No, he
he took
didn't.
the beeline. So when you talk about like culture and like doing things the right way, and a good organization, like I was going there thinking Mario Lemieux, right? And Pittsburgh, who back in the days, Jaromir Jagr, right? And then my first impression, my second impression, or my real first impression was that moment. I mean, how do you not love where you are at this very moment? Like I was
Incredible.
so impressed, and so to me, the whole experience, and then I ended up in the minors. John Hines was the coach, great coach, right? Tom Kostopoulos was on that team. We played 600 games in the NHL and 600 in the minors. It was one of the four guys who ever did that. Like legends, right?
Yeah.
Legends.
Yeah.
So we had such a good group, and the year we actually, my second year there, we had Connor Sherry, Tom Kuhnackel, Brian Rost, Matt Murray, all those guys who won the back-to-back cups in Pittsburgh were on our team that year. It was
Wow.
unbelievable. So we had they're not just skilled, like they're special people to do that, right? You
Very
have to be
special.
special. So we had an unbelievable group. Wilkes was special for the town for itself. I don't think they could support an NHL team, man. Like there's not enough money there, but it would be sold out every day. Every day, there's no question about it. People loved hockey. They loved the team. The fans were just all over us all the time, and it was nice. Like, so yeah, that was another great spot.
So, dude, so let me get this straight. You signed an AHL deal and then got called up to Pittsburgh.
Uh yes.
Like,
So
how
I
did
signed an
that
AHL
work?
deal. I signed an AHL deal, and they gave me a two-way when they needed me, right, for one game.
Right on.
Um, Again, I did not expect that at all. I thought, and that's when we were talking. I don't know if that was on recording or not, but like, there's a point in your career where you start appreciating things more. I wanted to be an NHL guy my whole life. I didn't think I belonged in the minors. I thought I was working hard enough. I was tough enough, skilled enough, right? I was a Luda Mario called me a poor me one time. Like poor me, I'm in the minor. Poor me, poor me, I'm not playing enough. And that was the reality. Like I was not embracing or happy where I was, but I was, like I was living the dream, man. I really
Yeah.
was. And
Yeah.
and at that moment in the minors in Wilkes-Barre, I started embracing being a veteran. I started being okay not playing every game. It was hard. I didn't like it, but
Uh-huh.
I had Alain Nasruddin as an assistant coach, and Naz would grab me on the side and he would talk to me, and he did it the right way. Like he basically told me to shut up and stop complaining without saying those words, and so that's really where it kind of turned and I started being happy. And then I played after that another maybe 4 or 5 years where it was always hard being healthy scratch. It was always hard not getting, enough ice time. But I was okay. And I wish I could have kept going for another 10 years after that. But, yeah.
I know, bro. Guys like you that never stop, like you never stop going, you never stop working, dude. And it was a blessing, Pierre-Luc, that you got to play for that many NHL different teams. You know what I mean? And dude, like playing against Crosby and Junior, then you got to play with them in the NHL, bro. Who did you guys play when you played the game for the Penguins? You
Oh my
remember?
gosh.
Was
I
it
gotta
in
remember
Pittsburgh?
that.
Or was
It
it
was
in
in
Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh. It was in
Okay,
Pittsburgh.
right on. So you got to play in Pittsburgh. And at that time, was it the Igloo still, or was it the newer
No, it
rink?
was the new rink. It was
Okay,
the new barn, yeah.
right on. Is it a pretty nice barn? It must be.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's a great
Yeah.
spot. It's Pittsburgh. I mean, I didn't spend enough time in Pittsburgh to get to know the town as the other places I played, but no, it was a good setup, and they had such a good team, man. It was very special. Like I think about it, like I tell people I played with Marty Brodeur, right, and then Kiprasov, and then Marc-Andre Fleury.
Jeez. Three of
Like
the best.
yeah, like unbelievable. But like bro, Marty and Flurry, I mean, two of the top three like ever. Like
Yeah.
I'm so lucky, man. And watching those guys play, it's just unbelievable, man. Like so being in Pittsburgh to me was fun, but it was more about like who I was with. Like Malkin and like those guys, man. It was so surreal to watch those guys play, and skate. It was unbelievable. And they treated you right, and so I was very very lucky to be there. Yeah. Chris
Thank you.
Letang, Chris
Oh man,
Letang, what a player, man!
legend.
That
Hey,
was awesome. Yeah, you bring me back
dude.
right now, man. I forget about those days.
I have to ask you about when I know Bam Bam keeps coming up, but bro, you guys meet again. I think it was 2015, 2016
Right?
when you're playing in Albany, right? I don't even know who
Yeah,
Cam's playing for, but you guys had another 2 3 minute battle, didn't you?
yeah, yeah. It was not. It
But
was
now
not the
you're
same
older.
though. Yeah, bro. But there's not 20,000 people screaming at you, so it's not the same energy.
That's right.
And we are older and slower. But no, Jamie never. Like it was a good fight. That one at that point we talked to each other a little bit more, and it was more of a let's just do it again kind of thing. And there was not as many punches landed in this one. If you watch it, it's
But it
more of
was
a
long.
yeah, it was long, and I felt more comfortable at that point because I was switching. If I recall correctly, in that fight, I kept going back and forth, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, it was just different. But in front of the like in New Jersey, I couldn't fall. Like there couldn't be a knockdown in Albany. That fight, it was different. It was more of a if I fall, I fall, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. There was more on the line in the one in Jersey.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time. Big time, man.
A lot more on the line. But it was all about pride though in Albany, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in Albany, like that's my hometown now. That's where I'm at. So, I was established. I think I bought a house that year. So it was clear that this was where I was going to raise my family and live. So there was, again, back to where I was saying a minute ago, but I'm embracing the role. Like when I was in Albany, man, that year, I was happy to be here. Like there was I didn't want to be somewhere else. Like where my whole career in the minors, I really wanted to be in the NHL. And my career in the NHL, I wanted to play more. And when I played more, I wanted to, make more money. And there was always something to, I was chasing. When I was in Albany, they could have offered me, $15 an hour, and I would have accepted it because that was it. I was with the boys. I was a veteran. I was a voice. My coach here was probably my best coach I ever played for. Like for a guy like me, like everybody reacts to different people, but Rick
Yeah.
Kowalski was coaching me. He made me feel like I was, needed, even if I didn't play. There was something about the way he was treating the veterans and even the young guys. Like he was so good with the people. Um, so it was just perfect. And then whatever, it didn't work out the second year. And I ended up signing in Syracuse, which, it was that year I knew it was over.
But
Yeah.
you were still playing at a very, very high level, which is very impressive, right?
Yeah.
Like some guys, man, like it's cool to see guys play for a while, Jean-Luc, because it's because of how good of a team guy they are. It's because of how much they get along with the other guys. You know what I mean? And that's what prolongs careers. So it's cool to see that. Jean-Luc, I know we've gone over the limit, but I got to talk about a little bit about your current situation right now. I want to talk a little bit about your family before I let you go, bro, because I'm so proud of you, bro. I love the players that end up turning out well after hockey. And I like to promote it because I want other players to see what's
Yeah.
available for a guy that played in the States for so long. So, currently, I want to do the proper title. Real estate agent with the Coldwell Banker Prime Properties in New York. Tell me a little bit about that. How long have you been doing that, bro?
I took my license the year I retired, so it's my fifth year now. And it's been unbelievable. If you are a kind of guy that's good at making connections and um, is compassionate and can easily not necessarily make friends, but like break the ice with somebody, that's a great career for someone like you. So I started thinking I was going to do commercial real estate because I like numbers. I had some investment properties and I wanted to, transition and work my way up in the game, become the next Donald Trump and own hotels and stuff like that. That never happened. I didn't make enough money for that. So my broker here introduced me to what real estate resale for homeowners was, and I just I fell into it my first year. I interviewed with a bunch of brokers, and they were all telling me, "I'm going to tell you how to make money, and I'm going to tell you you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to be successful, and you're going to sell 3 to 5 houses in your first year, but then it's going to go get better." I was like, "Dude, 3 to 5 houses in this market, that means I'm going to make $15,000 a year." It's like, no fucking way, dude. I have a family. I have 2 kids, my wife, a house to pay for, 2 cars. I like to have a lifestyle. Like I'm not doing
Yep.
that. So I kept interviewing different brokers until I met, the guy who became a very good friend of mine, my mentor. He's like, you listen to my, what I just said. I need to make enough money, and like I think I need to sell, 15, 20 houses my first year to make a living. And he looked at me. He was like, okay. He's like, it's gonna be hard. And I was like, that's fine. I'm ready for it. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna coach you, and we're gonna do it. And I was like, you're gonna coach me? You're not gonna tell me what to do. You're gonna coach me. So anyway, I found that good connection, the guy who could inspire me, motivate me, and into pivoting, right? Going from playing hockey, mentally sharp every day, grinding, training to like boom, pivot and go work with the public, which as a fighter, as an enforcer, you're fan favorite, but like we're used to doing that, like pleasing
Yeah.
the people, like pleasing the coaches, pleasing your teammates, pleasing, the fans, signing those
Yep.
autographs after the skates where nobody wants to do it. we were doing it. So they, yeah, so it was easy. It was an easy transition for. It was hard. Like it was a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I still work 80 and 90 hours a week on top of everything else, but it was worth it. Like it was I'm doing good. I'm all right.
Yeah, dude, I know you are, and I'm so proud of you, bro. And
Thanks,
like,
man.
it's no problem, but it's an inspiration. Like, this is the thing, Jean-Luc. Like, having the platform.
Stop calling me Jean-Luc. Pierre-Luc.
You know what, Jean-Luc? How many times have I said it though? Not too
Oh,
many
buddy.
times. It's
No, like 2 times. I
rolling
get it
off the tongue.
all the time for some reason. I don't know why. I get it all the time. So don't worry about it. But keep going.
Yes, Pierre-Luc. I
Yeah.
have the platform and I'm able to kind of like magnify the things that I want to show the players that follow the
Yeah.
show, right?
Yeah.
So just to have an example like you, bro, like it's incredible. It's good to see it. People have something to look up to. They have something to look forward to. A lot of players will get depressed and stuff when their career is coming to an end. But guys, there's a lot to look forward to. We got players like yourself to be able to look up to and to see what's good out there. So I just wanted to point that out. Bro, I also wanted to point out, I really appreciate all the stories that you got into today, buddy, because it's incredible, man. The insight that you showed. I've been at, I don't know if you noticed, bro, but I've been at the edge of my seat the whole night listening to your stories,
Thanks,
bro.
man.
And I
I
appreciate
appreciate
it
it.
so much, dude. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
What you did this year with Trois Rivières, bro, I'm telling you, on behalf of all the players, buddy, fucking right, bro. And I don't usually say that on online, but hats off to you, bro. Like
Thanks,
that
man.
was so
Appreciate it.
awesome to see, bro. And no one told me about it when I first saw it. I just found it and saw it, and man, did it ever put a smile on my face. So kudos to you, bro. That is so awesome. And I wanted to thank you again. I wanted to thank the listeners for tuning into another episode of The Sheriff featuring Pierre-Luc Leblond, the ultimate team guy, ladies and gentlemen. And I
You
want to
got it,
thank you.
man. Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
No
Appreciate it.
problem.